Welcome back, history buffs and exam prep warriors. Let's just dive right into this chronological explainer. We are going to take a vast, deeply complex century of the Indian freedom struggle and structure it beautifully. By the end of this, you'll have mastered these crucial milestones, which is absolutely perfect if you're gearing up for competitive exams or if you just want a crystal clear understanding of how India won its independence.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're covering 5 main eras, starting with the first sparks of revolt, moving into the rise of nationalism, the dawn of the Gandhian era, revolutionaries and radical voices, and finally, the final push for freedom. Let's get into it. All right, Section 1, the first sparks of revolt, specifically the 1857 uprising. Let's see how a handful of localized military mutinies kicked off a whole century of organized struggle.
You know, what's really wild about this era is how one single spark just ignited a massive fire. March 1857, Mungo Pandey revolts at Barrackpore over the use of those greased cartridges, right? Well, that localized mutiny spread like wildfire. Suddenly, you've got fierce regional leaders stepping up. Rani Lakshmi Bai valiantly defending Jhansi, and Kaur Singh, who is an 80-year-old landlord in Bihar, taking up arms, 80 years old. The British response to all of this? Brutal. They exiled the very last figurehead Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, to Rangoon. That marked the absolute formal end of Mughal rule and brought in direct British crown control.
Moving on to Section 2, the rise of nationalism and organizing the movement. Once the dust settled from the heavy suppression of 1857, the resistance evolved. It morphed from armed revolt into strategic political thought and institutional growth.
So, look at the deliberate cause and effect here. In 1885, A.O. Hume helps found the Indian National Congress to give Indians a political voice. And the British? They get extremely nervous. Fast forward to 1905, and Viceroy Lord Curzon executes the partition of Bengal. He literally drew a line to divide Hindus and Muslims, actively trying to crush that growing nationalist unity. And, well, it kind of worked. That deliberate division led directly to the All India Muslim League forming in 1906. By 1909, the British totally solidified this divide with the Minto-Morley reforms, introducing separate electorates. It's basically divide and rule 101.
Now this part is absolutely huge for your exams. Patriotic literature was the literal fuel for this rising nationalism. Take Dadabhai Naoroji's poverty and un-British rule. He laid out the drain theory, using hard math to prove Britain was economically bleeding India dry. It's a massive exam favorite. You've also got Jyotiba Phule's Ghulamgiri taking a hammer to social hierarchies, Muhammad Iqbal writing the unifying anthem Sare Jahan Se Acha, and later, Jawaharlal Nehru penning Discovery of India while locked up in Ahmednagar Fort. These weren't just books, folks. They were the ideological blueprints for a free nation.
Which brings us to Section 3, dawn of the Gandhian era and mass mobilization. The narrative is about to accelerate big time as Mahatma Gandhi enters the scene and completely shifts the tactics of the struggle.
This whole era is defined by a brutal chain reaction. 1919 hits, and the horrific Jallianwala Bagh massacre happens under General Dyer. That unimaginable tragedy directly pushes Gandhi to launch the massive non-cooperation movement in 1920. But watch what happens next. In 1922, a mob burns down a police station in Chauri Chaura. Gandhi, who is strictly, uncompromisingly committed to nonviolence, immediately pulls the plug on the entire nationwide movement. Talk about a massive reset, right? But that pause eventually sets the stage for 1930, when he marches to Dandi, breaks the Salt Law, and kicks off the civil disobedience movement.
Right before that famous Salt March, there was a huge ideological shift you absolutely must lock into your memory. Purna Swaraj, complete independence. Before this, a lot of factions would have settled for dominion status under the British. But at the pivotal 1929 Lahore session, which Jawaharlal Nehru presiding, Purna Swaraj became the ultimate no-compromise goal of the Congress. There was absolutely no going back from this.
But here's the fascinating thing. Not everyone agreed on how to get there. Gandhi and the Congress mainstream wanted civil disobedience out in the streets, breaking laws from the outside. But figures like C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru, they took a totally different route. They formed the Swaraj Party in 1923 to take the fight inside the system. Their strategy was to actually enter the British legislative councils and just cleverly wreck the administration from within. It was a brilliant two-pronged approach, really.
All right, Section 4, Revolutionaries and Radical Voices, the Armed Struggle. Because while all those massive nonviolent protests are happening, there's a parallel, highly dangerous armed struggle going on that we cannot ignore.
Let's run through these pivotal, high-stakes milestones.
1913, the Ghadar Party is founded, all the way over in San Francisco by Lala Hardyal, planning an armed revolution from abroad. Jump to 1925, and you have the wildly daring Kakori train action executed by Ram Prasad Bismil and Ashfaqullah. 1928, Chandrasekhar Azad and Bhagat Singh set up the HSRA in Delhi to fight for a socialist India. And in 1930, Surya Sen, affectionately known as Master Da, organizes the incredibly bold Chittagong Armory raid. These individuals were literally putting their lives on the line every single day for immediate radical action.
And out of this radical movement came the words that shook the empire. Inqilab Zindabad. Long live the revolution. Now, trivia time. It was actually coined by Hasrat Mohani back in 1921, but it was powerfully, unforgettably popularized by Bhagat Singh after he threw non-lethal bombs in the Central Assembly in 1929. That phrase became the absolute battle cry for the Indian youth.
And finally, Section 5, the final push for freedom, the 1940s. The world is engulfed in World War II. The British Empire is financially strained, and all these diverse strategies are about to converge. The contrast in leadership here is just incredible. On one hand, you have Mahatma Gandhi launching the ultimate domestic mass protest, the 1942 Quit India movement, demanding the British pack up and leave immediately. On the other hand, you've got Subhash Chandra Bose. He totally breaks from the Congress playbook, forms the forward bloc, and goes all the way to Singapore to inspire an actual military force, the Indian National Army, attacking British forces from the outside. Two radically different strategies, one exact same goal.
To really grasp the intensity of 1942, just look at Gandhi's words. Usually the guy preaching patient nonviolence, he delivers this incredibly urgent ultimatum: do or die, karo ya maro. He dropped that at the Goelia Tank Maidan in Bombay on August 8th, and it was literally like throwing a match on gasoline. It ignited the Quit India movement instantly, leading to mass arrests and nationwide uprisings.
Meanwhile, miles away, Subhash Chandra Bose is delivering his own electricity. Dilli Chalo, March to Delhi, and Jai Hind. These became the legendary rallying cries for the INA troops. They were fighting a brutal military campaign in the freezing, harsh terrains of the Northeast, fueled almost entirely by Bose's sheer magnetic willpower.
Before we hit the exact date of independence, let's lock in three core figures who unified the nation and their exam favorite titles. Vallabhbhai Patel is the Iron Man of India, because he somehow managed the mammoth task of integrating over 500 disjointed princely states into one union. Huge task. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan is the frontier Gandhi, fiercely leading the nonviolent red shirts in the super volatile Northwest. And Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India, a title Gandhi gave her, was a political powerhouse and the very first Indian woman Congress president.
Okay, the endgame. Notice how fast the dominoes fall after World War II. The British realize their time is definitely up. We speed right from the 1945 Revolt Plan and the 1946 Cabinet Mission, which outlined the exact transfer of power, straight to July 1947, when the British Parliament formally passes the Indian Independence Act. 1 month later, in August 1947, overseen by the last Viceroy, Lord Mountbatten, India finally awakens to life and freedom.
So as you keep prepping and studying, leave yourself with this one massive question. How did the intricate weaving of these radically diverse factions, from riders to soldiers, from peaceful marchers to train-robbing revolutionaries, ultimately forge a single, independent nation? It's a giant complex puzzle, and understanding how all those pieces fit together is the absolute secret to mastering this era. Keep asking those questions, keep making those historical connections, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.